Hey guys, it's Kat. Today I want to use this image that I found on Pinterest. I want to use it as a little reference photo to show you how to draw this kind of a look on your iPad using Procreate. It's going to be a really easy, quick tutorial. So if you've got your iPad ready, let's grab Procreate. And I'm going to start open a blank canvas. I'm just going to use the screen size. Now the background is a very purpley blue. It's quite dark on the top and then it gradually goes down to a lighter shade of purple towards the bottom. I like to use the airbrush tool. The soft brush is what I'll use. Now I'm going to try to pick a blue but a quite purpley blue. Maybe closer to this color. I'll experiment. Let's see. Okay, something like this would do. Now I'm going to do a mixture of purples. Maybe let's go a little bit lighter and then just blend it. It's okay if the blending is awkward because I'm going to show you a way to make it really smooth later on. So just have fun doing this. Feel free. Maybe a lighter shade. And what I'm also going to do is maybe incorporate a bit more of a bluey color in the middle. And back to a purple. But whatever looks pretty to you. Then a bit more of a purple down the bottom, a pinky purple. Okay, I think I like that. Now, click this one here, and if you click Gaussian blur, you slide your pencil on the screen, and then see how it blurs really nicely so everything smooths out. That's what I like to do. Now, I'm going to add a new layer and we're going to start the clouds. Under organic, you can see rainforest here, and that's my favorite brush to draw clouds. Now the clouds on this reference photo, it's very smoky and very scattered, so it's even easier for you to do. Even if you make a mistake, no one will notice. Choose a pinky color. I'm going to go actually quite towards the right, and then maybe around there, and then I'm going to reduce the opacity slightly. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little base. Okay, so starting from the bottom, and don't put too much pressure on your hand because this is just going to be a base. So I'm going to just trace around, just looking at the photo. It doesn't have to be exactly like the photo, but just use the photo as a reference. So around that much for the bottom, and then up here a little bit more. So very smoky looking clouds. And then up here, got some more. Just really gently, just really utilize this as a very therapeutic session. Up here, it goes towards here, and then it kind of around here as well. Okay, I think that's a good little base. Now you can add a little bit more pressure to your hand, and I'm just going to add some layers to enhance the effect of the clouds. So a little bit more pressure, and you can see I am having a bit more of a darker, more prominent looking clouds. But just alternate the pressure on your hand. If you keep the same pressure on your hand all the time, it won't look as natural. So sometimes you can add more pressure, sometimes you can add less, and that's what makes these clouds really natural. Don't worry about if you make a mistake. I'm just going to use the smudge tool later on as well, so we can make it look even more natural. So don't worry, just feel free. And then near the tips, near the edges, very light pressure. And a little bit more here. I think this is like part of a sunset, so it's got a lot of pinks. We can add some oranges later too. We're going to have fun with the colors. It's very beautiful. Okay, that would do for now. Add a little bit more of a pink, going towards a bit more right I'm going to add a little bit of a kind of like a highlight using a pink. So go back to where the tips are and then add more pressure. Again, the photo is just a reference, but even if you don't make it exactly like it, it will look beautiful in its own way. Okay, keep going. More up here. Okay. Bit more where you like it. Okay, so it's coming along. The image actually has a lot more like vibrant orangey, red, pink hues to it. So we can go even more to the right and add a bit more of a vibrant orange. So you can add little highlights here and there, not everywhere because that will overdo it, but just on parts of it, add some oranges to it. Not everywhere, just little parts as highlights. Again, you probably can't see, but I am reducing the pressure on my hand on the edges here, just so it blends really nicely. Okay, yeah. And very light pressure on the edges to make that smoky look. Okay, I'm gonna add another little layer, but I'm gonna make this a very light orangey, pinky, whatever you want to call it, just to add extra highlight just for the finale. So maybe like the tips, especially the tips, just to emphasize where the light is falling on those clouds. So I am putting quite a bit of pressure on the tip of the pen. This is why I love drawing nature, because there's so many different shades of the same color, and it just makes the art so fun and therapeutic. Okay, now you can have a look overall. Now, I want to add a little bit more of a smoky effect, so reduce the opacity. Maybe I'll just glide this a bit more pink and a little bit bigger. And then on the bottom edges, I'm just going to add a little bit of light clouds just to enhance that smoky look and also try to blend it out more nicely. Very light pressure, just on the bottoms. Okay. Maybe on the top here as well. Okay. A bit more here. Now I think that's done with the clouds. If you have a look at the image, there is a slight little light. I think that's part of the moon, just shining very subtly from the background. And I want to incorporate that. Now I think a good position to put that is maybe like here-ish. Pick complete white. Maybe I'll do another layer underneath the clouds so it looks like it's shining from the back. Go to airbrushing and use the soft airbrush tool. Now, like I said, I might put it over here somewhere. It's going to be a very small, like that, just shining behind, very subtle. Now this is just an option, but this is something I like to do to make the moon shine a bit more. So choose bloom and then just glide, and you can see just what happened there. It just kind of like adds that little blooming light effect, and I kind of like it like that from the background. Now this is not in the image, but I actually want to add a very like a starry night look, which means we need stars. So continue using the airbrush, the soft airbrush tool, and I'm just going to reduce it. And then on the top, just dot some stars. Put hard pressure on some of them and light pressure on some of them to make it very, very natural, and it makes that very starry effect. So hard on some of them and light on some areas. I'm going to do it throughout, very subtle. Barely see it, but that being there makes it so beautiful. Now if you want, you can increase it a little bit to add like bigger ones. You can play around with the different sizes. I can make it even bigger for just a few of them. But don't overdo this because it's just going to be very subtle. Okay, I like it like that. Now, what I'm also going to add are the trees on the bottom. So the trees are in the front of the clouds. So I'm going to add a layer on top. And I'll show you a little brush that I like to use. If you go to Artistic, there's a brush called Aurora. Now this brush is very, very peculiar because it adds lots of different types of colors on the same brush. I want to use a green. I'll just use a light green to kind of show you. I'll just make this brush quite big. Can you see there's like two different shades of green? I'm actually going to choose a very dark green because it looks like a very dark, just shadowy tree that's showing on top. So choose a dark green, and using Aurora, I might have to reduce this a little bit. You can increase this, and I'm going to try and draw the little trees on the back. Around this, I think this much would do. And then just a little bit more up here. Okay, something like that. And then maybe a little bit more here. So the trees are just a little extra for this image. I think that much would do for this part. Maybe a little bit more, just to... Okay, I don't know if you can see, but it has different shades of green that's scattering out, so it makes these trees really natural. So that's why this brush is such a handy tool for these kind of trees. Now I'm going to make it slightly darker for the bottom parts because I still want to add a bit of a shadowy effect so the trees actually have a bit more life in them. Just maybe on the bottom and maybe a little bit on the right. Brings the trees to life a bit more. Just a little bit, don't overdo it. And this time, let's choose a lighter shade of green. I'm going to reduce the opacity because otherwise it looks too abrupt. You can kind of see just to the tips maybe. And it makes the trees a little bit more realistic. Just a little bit. And a bit here. And then maybe just one last layer, just slightly lighter, and just a few little dabs on the tips. Just a few. Now the final touch are the electric lines. Let's add a new layer on top. For this one, go to inking, and I'm going to use Studio Pen. Now what I'm going to do to the Studio Pen brush, I'm just going to duplicate it. So click duplicate, and if you click it, we can adjust the brush a little bit. The reason why I'm doing this is because the lines should be quite smooth. The lines look really, really smooth in this image. So because I want to add that smooth effect, I'm going to go to stabilization, and I'm going to increase this amount quite a bit, maybe just to the maximum, because now even whatever line I draw, it's quite smooth. Whereas if I reduce this, I'm just going to clear this so you can see. Like, no, if I, the more squirrely the scribbly I draw it, it follows. But if I increase the stabilization, it's very smooth. So my movement in my hand is not as prominent. I hope that makes sense. So once I've done that, you can see, if I draw the line, it just follows very smooth, just glides on. So that's the kind of effect that I want to make. Another one here. And then the ones on the bottom, a bit more thicker. And I think that would do. What do you guys think? I think I'm quite happy with that one. Really, really simple little artwork. Hope that was nice and easy to follow, guys. If there's any other tutorials or tips that you'd like to learn from me, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.